Right, let's have an honest chat, shall we? If your entire business can be replicated by a small team over a weekend using OpenAI's latest API, you don't have a business. You have a feature. And quite frankly, you've got about as much defensibility as a wet paper bag in a car park during a storm. It's late 2025, and the AI gold rush is entering its oh shit phase. VCs who are throwing money at anything with AI powered in the title are now asking one very uncomfortable question: what stops somebody else from building this tomorrow? Welcome to the era of the moat question. If you don't have a good answer, you're done before you've started. Alright, I'm going to walk you through the three types of moat that actually work for AI companies in 2025. Not the theoretical BS you read in blog posts from 2023, but the real defensible strategies that separate companies worth billions from features that get absorbed by Microsoft in a quarterly update. We're talking about the proprietary data flywheel, deep workflow integration, and the brand and trust moat. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why some AI companies are raising at ridiculous valuations, while others can't even get a meeting at a VC. Let's get into it. Right, moat number one, the proprietary data flywheel. And this is the big one. And here's the thing that nobody wants to admit. In 2025, the base models are basically commoditised. Whether you're using GPT, Claude, or Gemini, they're all brilliant. They're all expensive to train, and they're all available via an API for about the same price. Your competitive advantage isn't coming from the model anymore. Your advantage comes from data. The data that only you have. And more specifically, data that gets better the more people use your product. Let me give you a proper example. Imagine you're building an AI CRM for estate agents. Not just any CRM, one that learns from every property viewing, every client interaction, and every successful sale. Here's how the flywheel works. Stage one, an estate agent uses your AI to qualify a potential buyer. Your system records not just what was said, but what actually led to a viewing and eventually a sale. Stage two, your AI gets smarter at predicting which buyers are serious and which are just browsing. It learns that buyers who ask about school catchment areas in Diddlesbury on a Tuesday afternoon are X times more likely to make an offer than those who ask about the nightlife in Shoreditch. Stage 3. Because your AI is better at qualifying leads, more estate agents use it. More usage means more data. More data means better predictions. Now you've got proprietary insights that would take a competitor years to replicate, because they'd need your users going through your specific workflows to generate comparable data. See how that works? A competitor could copy your user interface tomorrow. They could use the same base model, but they cannot copy X years of proprietary interaction data from 5,000 estate agents closing actual deals. Scale AI is a perfect example. They're currently valued at a couple of billion, and their entire moat is basically this. They've labelled more training data, more use cases than anybody else. They've got a massive head start that's almost impossible to overcome, because the data itself takes time and money that compounds. But here's the critical bit. Not all data creates a moat. If your AI learns from publicly available data that anybody can scrape, or from interactions that don't actually improve the product, you're just collecting data for the sake of it, and that costs you money. The flywheel only works if the data is proprietary to your platform. More data genuinely improves the user experience. The improvement is significant enough that users stick around. If you can tick those three boxes, congratulations, you've got yourself a defensible proposition. Mode number 2, deep workflow integration, or as I like to call it, becoming the shit that people can't rip out without causing chaos. Right, let's talk about switching costs. If your AI tool is just a chatbot that sits on the side of someone else's workflow, they can ditch you tomorrow. No drama, no consequences, just a cancelled subscription and a passive-aggressive exit survey. But if your AI is embedded into the actual core of how a business operates, that's a completely different story. So let me give you a real example. Harvey AI. They've raised a couple of million from Sequoia, and they're building AI specifically for law firms. not a general purpose legal chatbot, mind you. They're building tools that integrate directly into document management, case management workflows, and billing processes. Here's why that matters. When a law firm adopts Harvey, they're not just using a new tool. They're restructuring how junior associates research cases, how partners review contracts, and how the entire firm manages precedent documents. After 6 months, Harvey isn't just a tool that they use, it's part of how they work. And switching costs go up exponentially over time. In month 1, changing providers is annoying. In month 6, it requires retraining staff. In year 2, you need to restructure entire workflows. The juice just isn't worth the squeeze, even if the competitor offers a slightly better model. That is what Andreessen Horowitz calls application-led defensibility in their research on AI business models. They're absolutely right. The companies that win aren't necessarily the ones that make the best models. They're the ones who make themselves impossible to remove. So easy to replace sidecar chatbot, one-off analysis tools, simple AI calls, and embedded in workflow, integrated into existing databases, connected to multiple business systems, and automation that touches critical processes, custom trained on specific procedures. Here's the slightly uncomfortable truth. Building this kind of integration is hard, really hard. It requires understanding of not just AI, but actual workflows of your target customer. You need proper onboarding, custom implementation, and sometimes even professional services. It's not sexy. It's not move fast and break things. It's slow, methodical, enterprise software stuff. But here's the thing. That difficulty is exactly what creates the moat. Your competitors don't want to do the boring work either. They want to ship a chatbot and call it a day. So whilst they're playing with prompts, you're becoming the infrastructure. One more example quickly. GitHub Copilot. Microsoft integrated it directly into VS Code, the most popular code editor on the planet. Now it's in the IDE where developers spend their entire day. Switching costs through the roof. Could a competitor build a better code completion model? Possibly. Would developers bother switching when they'd have to learn a new AI editor? No, absolutely not. Alright, mode number 3, brand and trust. And in an era of AI slop and deep fakes, this is becoming more valuable by the day. Here's a situation. We're drowning in AI generated content. Half the internet is bots talking to somebody else's bots. Every other startup is complaining that their AI is revolutionary, and their consumers, well, they're increasingly skeptical about what's real and what's AI generated nonsense. In this environment, being a trusted source in your vertical is an absolutely massive competitive advantage. Let me give you a proper example. Bloomberg GPT. Bloomberg trained their large language model specifically on financial data, and they got a 40-year reputation for accuracy in financial information. When they release an AI tool for financial analysis, people trust it, not because the underlying AI model is necessarily better than GPT-4 or 5, but because Bloomberg's brand means something. If some random startup released the exact same tool tomorrow, would hedge funds adopt it? I highly doubt it, because in finance, one hallucination, one wrong prediction, one dodgy data point could cost millions. This is what VCs mean when they talk about high-stakes verticals. In sectors like healthcare, legal, financial services, or anything involving compliance, trust isn't just nice to have, it's the entire ballgame. The same story in healthcare. Google can build a better diagnostic AI than some scrappy startup in Shoreditch. But if you're a hospital, are you betting patients' lives on an untested AI from a company with no track record? Or are you going with the established medical device manufacturer who's been through regulatory approval processes and has proper liability insurance? Here's a strategic insight. In low-stakes environments, this moat doesn't matter much. If your AI is generating marketing copy or social media captions, nobody cares if it hallucinates occasionally. Users will just regenerate and move on. But in high-stakes environments, and trust takes time to build, which means it's actually defensible. That's why established companies with strong brands have such a massive advantage when they move into AI. It's also why New startups tend to be absolutely fanatical about accuracy, transparency, and building credibility from day one. So how do you build this moat? Be transparent about your AI's limitations. Have human oversight in critical decisions. Build case studies and testimonials. Get proper security certifications. Be the first to admit when your AI gets something wrong. It's not fast, it's not easy, but once you've established yourself as the trusted provider in a high-stakes vertical, you're extremely difficult to displace. Right, let's bring this home. If you're building an AI company in 2025, you need at least one of these three moats. Ideally, two or all three. One, the proprietary data flywheel, where your product gets better with usage in ways that competitors cannot replicate. Two, deep workflow integration, where removing your product would require restructuring how your customers work. Three, brand and trust, where your reputation in high-stakes environments is worth more than a better model. And here's the thing that keeps VCs up at night. Most startups have none of these. They're wrapper companies built on rented intelligence with no proprietary advantage, no integration depth, and no brand. When OpenAI or Anthropic release a new feature, these companies just disappear. One day they're raising seed rounds, the next day they're dead because ChatGPT added a button that does the same thing. So ask yourself, if Claude Sonnet 5 comes out tomorrow with exactly your feature built in, do you have a business still? If the answer is no, you don't have a moat. You have a marketing problem pretending to be a tech company. Build the moat first, the hype comes later. Right, so that's it. If this was useful, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you're actually building something in this space, drop a comment. I'd love to hear what moat you're building.